A very good afternoon to everyone. Today we are having the third session of our ICF travel series, and we have Brigadier Hirak with us, who will be telling us about his travel on a motorcycle which he undertook in 1971. That is a long time back. I was not even born at that time. So he is an engineer by profession, and he did a PhD in management and superannuated from the Indian Army as a brigadier in November 2005. He has authored a book by the name Silent Warfare, and he has also edited a book by the name Mineral Dressing, which is a very interesting title. And traveling is his passion, and he has been to 5 continents and to over 55 countries. And his name is recorded in the Limca Book of Records as well. So that's quite a lot of long list of accomplishments. And now over to Brigadier Hirak.
Firstly, let me thank Mr. Vivek Kumar for inviting me to speak to this elite group and Mrs. Nidja of Arahan Publishers, who was bold enough to publish a book, The Pillion Rider, written by me the year before last. And that actually is a travelogue of my travels in India with a friend of mine, Flying Officer George Kuruvilla, way back in 1971. Today, I'll be talking to you about my passion for traveling. Where do I begin the story of my passion for traveling? My first travel which I made was when I was in class 10, and I pulled wool over my mother's eyes and went off on a solo trip to Bombay. Since then, over the 5-6 decades, I have been traveling extensively in India, and I've traveled from the Run of Kutch, the Sir Creek in the west, to Kibutu in the east, from the Siachen Glacier in the north to the south, Kanyakumari to the south. And all over India, I've traveled very extensively. As far as, as the countries outside are concerned, I've traveled over 55 countries, most of them alone, some with my wife, a few with groups, and then solo again. That has been my travels. And believe me, the best travel was this travel on which I've written the book, The Pillion Rider. My last trip was to South America in April this year, where I went to Brazil and to Chile. And in Chile, the last speaker who spoke, he spoke up to Peru. But I saw from south of Peru to the south of Chile, a place called Punta Arenas, which is the last roadhead of South America just before the Antarctica. So from the last speaker and me, we would have covered the whole area actually. Now back to my book. Mudraj, would you show the first slide, please? First photo, please. No, the first one, please. Number 1. No, yeah, number 1. Should I click on it? No. Murugraj?
I'm showing the first image.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Well, that is the book, The Pillion Rider. The person you see on the left is Flying Officer George Kuruvilla, and I'm on the right. Both of us look similar. Negroes and good old days we were looking like the Negro hippies who were traveling. That is 71, there were hippies in India, and we were the African hippies going around. Yeah, next two photographs, please. Can you show photo 2 and photo 3?
I'll show one by one.
You can show both of them together. Oh, okay, one by one will be fine.
Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah, it is the same photograph which is on the book. And the next one,
Okay. Just give me a moment. So what do you see now?
okay, fine. Uh, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, this is the other photograph. Why I wanted to show you these two photographs, because these are the only two photographs that I've got, and they were taken not during the trip, but after the trip by one Mr. Desmond Doig, who was the editor of Junior Statesman. I don't know how many of you have heard of Junior Statesman. It was a very famous magazine those days, one of the upper class magazines. And Mr. Desmond Doig had taken these photographs after the trip. Now, let me tell you about this book and a little bit of my experience. Of course, you have to take some time off to read the book, and to really appreciate it, you've got to set the clock back by 50 years, and get yourself into the boots of two young officers, 22 years of age, who had finished 4 years of rigorous military training, got the commission, and now they had the freedom to go around the world. So you've got to put yourself at that state and try and understand what we enjoyed and try to enjoy the same. I had come home on my to my hometown on leave, that is Calcutta, and I was trying to catch up with my friends. I walked over to George's house, and lo and behold, he was also on leave and he was there. He told me that a friend of ours, one flying officer, Shashi Datta, was getting married in Delhi, and he had a new bike and he would like to drive down there. And he asked me, would you like to come along with me? I said, sure. So that was when, in the evening, over a drink, we decided to go. Next day, we were collecting a rucksack, getting an easy rider stand fitted on our bike. And the day after, about 3:30 in the morning, George came and picked me up from our house. Of all the things, we had 200 rupees in our pocket. And we thought that was enough to go to Delhi and to come back. Now, you must remember, those days, petrol was 1 rupee 40 paisa a liter only. While Calcutta slept, we were whizzing through the streets of Calcutta, and by dawn, we were on the outskirts of Calcutta, seeing the roads being washed. Those days in Calcutta, every morning the roads used to be washed. Our motorbike was new. She was named the Renegade. Since she was new, we were driving at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour only, and decided to do the running in at that speed only. It was raining heavily, and going through the Grand Trunk Road constructed by Sher Shah, it was really grand because there were potholes all over. We were moving from one pothole to the other, and because it was raining, the potholes were also filled with water. It was very precarious to drive in that rain and bad roads, but we had to keep the timeline of attending the marriage. So we pressed on regardless of rain or good, bad weather. That day, after lunch, George told me, okay, Hirak, now you drive. Little did he know that I did not have a driving license and I had never driven a Java before. All that I'd driven was a Royal Enfield of the Army, which the dispatch riders drive. The problem was not in driving. The Royal Enfield has its gears on the left and the Java has its gears on the left. Sorry, Royal Enfield is on the right and the Java has the gears on the left. That was a problem. But then after a kilometer or two, I was a bit shaky. Then George, with this, he sort of gave me confidence. And after that, I was okay. I kept on driving. I did not have a license. George did not know about it. I never asked George whether he had a license or not. The first night we halted, yeah, the first night we halted at Gaya. Gaya was it was a PWD inspection bungalow where we halted, and George was a bit apprehensive, thinking that they'll charge us a lot of money. But I was used to staying in these wayside highway inspection bungalows and circuit houses, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll take care." When we went in over there and got a room for ourselves, showing our iCard, saying that we are doing some special reconnaissance for the oncoming war. So we got a room and we were charged 1 rupee 25 paisa for the night. The next halt was in Lucknow. Now, Lucknow, I had all my army friends. We stayed in the army mess. We had a wonderful time. We went, we had an evening in the MB club, invited by our friends. And then we decided to see the Mujra show, which we see in Hindi movies. So we wanted to see the Mujra show. People told us it goes on in the chalk. So three of us, two of us and another friend, three of us, we drove down at 12 o'clock at night. We landed up in the chalk. There a police officer caught us and asked us what were we doing. We said, we've come to see Mujra from Calcutta. He said, forget it. There's the red light area. Get out. Yeah. Can you hear me? Is my voice? Yeah. Is my voice okay? Okay. Now, we had a nice time in Lucknow, but our aim was Delhi. So the following morning, we spruced up and serviced up our Renegade, the bike, and we took off for a long drive from Lucknow to Delhi. Now we didn't have to bother about the 50 kilometers per hour, and we were driving fast. The rain followed us, rain was ahead of us, rain was on us, but we kept on going. We reached Delhi at night, and we went to a taxi stand somewhere near Connaught Place, and asked the taxi driver the direction to my friend's house. They started talking to us in broken English, and then we realized that they were asking us for grass. Those were the days of the hippies, and we looked like African hippies going around. So when we started talking to him in Hindi, then they realized that we were not from any outsider, we were Indians only. Then they were very nice, looked after us. Not often do they find a person driving down on a motorbike from Calcutta to Delhi, looked after us, gave us tea, and showed us direction to the house of my friend. So we went to our friend's house at night. His father looked after us. My friend also landed up after some time. Next day, during the reception of this flying officer Shashi Datta, we realized that we were more sought after probably than the wedding couple themselves. Because one is, no one those days would drive, no one was mad enough to drive a motorcycle from Calcutta to Delhi in that weather. And second thing was that the war clouds with Pakistan were already in the horizon. And generally the people thought that these two officers knew the complete strategies of the Indian Armed Forces. And they were asking us a lot of questions of which we were as blank as they were. But then we had to keep up our face and show that, yes, we knew something. In the process, we made a lot of friends, girls and boys, and that started off our long trip. Afternoon, evening, night, we were invited to parties, and at night we would sleep in the veranda of Hindu College Hostel. Uh, Kind courtesy, George Kuruvala's brother Philip, and his gang of friends. So with them, we used to stay in the Hindu College Hostel veranda, and next morning, next day, again we would be partying around. Like this, we went on for 7 days. After 7 days, on the seventh day, we realized that we don't have any more money, and we did not want to borrow from George's brother or his friends. And besides, George had already contracted conjunctivitis. Those days, it was to be known as Joy Bangla. You get in your eye becomes red, and it is very contagious. So we decided, I said, listen, George, my regiment is in Jhansi. Let's go there. I'll pick up money from there. He said, okay. So Sunday morning, 4 o'clock, we took off for Jhansi. En route, we went to the Taj Mahal, to the Agra Fort. And when we were driving past a place called Dabra, I showed George the place, the police station, where 2 months ago I was locked up for a day, for a night. That was, I didn't do anything wrong. I was doing a reconnaissance of the Sindh River, for finding out crossing site for tanks. And the police got information that there are some dacoit informers are moving around here. And the dacoits got information that there's a police informers roaming around. So me and one Jawan with me, the two of us were locked up in a cell for a night till we could get out. And then we landed up in Jhansi. Jhansi was my regiment. It was like homecoming. We went to the adjutant's house, Captain Bhatia. His wife was very friendly with me. I found her very cold and, sort of not too happy seeing us. So I went to the toilet to have a wash. And when I was having a wash, I realized my eyes were swollen up and red with that white stuff coming out of the eyes. I had also contracted conjunctivitis during the trip. So I came out of the toilet. I told her, Mrs. Bhatia, I think we should leave because George had conjunctivitis yesterday and I have got conjunctivitis now. It is very contagious. So I think we should leave. She said, no, don't worry. You stay back because we've already had conjunctivitis. So there's nothing about that. But when I saw you coming with total red eyes, I thought you were drunk. That is why I was so serious. Anyway, that was nice. And the 2 days we spent in Jhansi were excellent. We went to Khajuraho, we went to Orcha, and you won't believe the amount of small forts which are there. We went and entered one or two forts and got chased away by the bats. Then at one place there's a huge shikara type of houseboat on a lake, no one occupying it. George and myself were wondering as to why can't we buy up one of these places or steal one of these places or buy it for a song and then start up with a hotel or something like that. They were excellent places en route. You must go to Jhansi in these places around. Then in Jhansi, we managed to pick up some money from my unit Bania. Till now, we had only one helmet and one pair of driving goggles. We picked up another helmet, another driving goggles. We picked up a jacket, a sleeping bag, and lots of food from our friends. Some gave us petrol for the tank. Some gave us rum, food, cigarettes. Looked after very well, and we took off from Jhansi. We decided with so much, we must go to Bombay. So en route to Bombay, road was bad. It was raining very heavily. And the slush on the berms that is the side of the roads, was coming onto the road. So the roads were becoming very slippery. So I made an accident by hitting a holy cow. After some time, George took over the bike. Within 5 minutes, he met with another accident, this time trying to save a holy cow. But we realized one thing, it was a lesson learned. Because of the easy rider stand and the rucksack hanging behind and the ropes fitting it on the side, we realized the pillion rider cannot get off the bike. And if the pillion rider can't get off the bike, the driver can't get off the bike either. Therefore, if you have a skid, we have to take the total brunt on our knees because we didn't have leg guards and lie there till we can finally upright ourselves. And that is what happened every time we met with an accident. Not many, otherwise we wouldn't be surviving. While sipping tea in a dhaba, I'm saying some incidents, there are many, I'm just saying some. While sipping tea in a dhaba, we found a person reading a newspaper and there's a photograph of an air crash. So we took the newspaper and found that it was Flying Officer Indrajit Bhutani, a coursemate of ours, who we had met 3 days ago during the marriage. He had died in that air crash. He was a very close friend of both of us. Then that day we traveled. At night we stayed in a dhaba. In the dhaba, again, same thing. The dhaba wala thought that we were carrying some grass or something with us. So we told him, no, we are just tourists, we don't have. Anyway, he gave us 2 cots to sleep. Then he offered us, okay, you give us grass, I will give you some women. And then we realized as to why the truckers in India get this venereal disease so often, because in these dhabas do look after the truck drivers. We said, sorry, neither do we have any money, nor do we have grass. Just let us be in peace and leave tomorrow. Next day, en route, we found a beautiful brook, mountain stream, and we had a nice bath, cleaned ourselves, and pressed on to Bombay. We reached Bombay sometime in the afternoon. We didn't know where to stay. But we had a common friend, Sajid Mumtaz from Calcutta. He was in Air India, posted in Bombay. We didn't know whether he was there in Air India or abroad. But 3 months before this, I was in Bombay. I had joined the National Yachting Regatta. So I had been to Sajid's uncle's place. So I told George, let's go to his uncle's place. We'll find out as to where George is staying. So we went to his uncle's place in Bandra. And his uncle said, Sajid is in Bombay, but right now he's not at home. So we left a message, Hirak and George are in town, and left for Juhu Beach. At Juhu Beach, we parked a bike, took off our clothes, and went to the sea. Not a very common thing in Bombay those days. But when we came back, we found a lot of people looking at us. We dressed up and came to Sajid's house. Now, Sajid's wife presently, then his girlfriend, was a film actress. Her name is Anjana Mumtaz. She's still in the film now. So Anjana, those days were not married to Sajid, was going around with her. She had a lot of friends. So the next 2-3 days we stayed in Bombay. We had a fantastic time with Anjana, her movie friends, and Saj and his friends. 3 days later, Sajid was flying off to Paris. We didn't have a place to stay, so we said, okay, let's go to Pune. Pune was my alma mater, the College of Military Engineering. There I had a friend, or in fact, I had a few friends. I'm from the Corps of Engineers also. And we had a nice time going to the RSI club, the land of the slow horses and the fast women. And we had a lovely time, picked up some money and decided, okay, we have money, let's go to Goa. No plans, let's go to Goa. So we drove to Goa, and first night we stayed at Vasco. But en route to Goa, I want to say about an incident. One is, we saw a cow delivering a calf. This is something which we had never seen. Okay, my route chart, sorry, I forgot about it. This is the route that we followed. Thank you, Murgaraj, for reminding me. Calcutta to Gaya, Gaya to Lucknow, Lucknow to Delhi, Delhi, Agra, Gwalior, we didn't stay. Then we came to Jhansi, Khajuraho, And from Jhansi, we went to Mumbai, Mumbai to Pune. I should have written Bombay because it was Bombay those days, not Mumbai, and Pune, not Pune. Okay. From Pune, we came to Belgaum, Panjim, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and then along the east coast to back to Calcutta. That was a 35 days travel. We did about 13,000 kilometers plus, and we started off with 200 bucks, thinking that we'll just go from Calcutta to Delhi and back. That is why we didn't have any money with us. We didn't have a camera also, not that we possessed a camera. We didn't have a camera to take any photographs. That is why I hold those two photographs which Mr. Desmond Doig took for us very carefully, close to our heart. This is later, Muruk. Okay, since you've shown the photograph, I'll just tell you. Last year, there was a Java rally in Bangalore. And there's a, what's her name? There's a girl from Java, again an army officer's daughter. She got in contact with my publisher and asked her if she could talk to me. And she invited me for the Java rally. And here I'm. Urvashi, yeah. Sorry, I forgot her name. In fact, I contacted her today to come over to get into the seminar if she could. So Urvashi invited me for this Java rally to speak to the people over there. And this is what I'm talking. And then on that ground, there were people of different groups, of Java group, Royal Enfield group, other motorcycles, Harley Davidson group, and things like that. It was a very big rally. This year they couldn't conduct it. Probably I would have gone again this year. Yeah, Mul, thank you. Shanmugam, you can switch this photograph. No, not this one. Yeah, just switch off the photographs now, please. I don't require this photograph now. Yeah, Nija, you're on the photograph on my screen. Okay. Now, as we took off, the weather was very agreeable and we were having a lovely drive towards Goa. Sometime later, suddenly George told me, he was sitting behind, I was driving. He said, Hirak, put your left feet on the rear footrest. I said, okay. Then he said, put your right feet on the rear footrest. I did the same. Then he said, leave your left handle. I left the left handle. Next moment, before I knew what was happening, George swung his leg in front of me, came and sat down in front. He said, get out, push backwards. I pushed back. George was driving. I was sitting behind. That means from a rider's seat, I shifted to the pillion rider's seat at a speed of about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour in which we were driving. It was a fantastic feat. Never tried it again. George asked me, would you try again? I said, no, first. I won't try it again. It was dangerous, but it was something that we did. By evening, we were in Goa. We landed up at the Vasco Naval Base, where George had a naval friend, in fact, a common friend. But when we landed up over there, we found that he was not a station, they were out on exercise. But then another officer was kind enough, he gave us that friend's room keys, where we spent the night, but then we were not the ones to spend the night in Goa in a room. So we went out to the beach, to a restaurant. There we met a fantastic fellow called Ronaldo, who taught us how to drink the Kaju Feni with Coke and octopus and whatnot. We drank till late at night and we were totally sozzled, and it's nice of him that he came to drop us back in the mess, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to find it. Goa was beautiful. Next morning, we took off as tourists. We went to recce the beaches of Goa and we drove down south or up north to Vagator Beach. And from there, we started coming down Anjuna Beach and some other beaches. I don't remember the names. The beaches were not what they are today. Today, there are a lot of people on the beaches with clothes. And there, when we went over there were a lot of people over there, men and women, who were without a stitch of clothes on all these beaches. So you can imagine the excellent time the two youngsters had. Then we came down to the Aquara Fort and then to Kalangud Beach. When we were going, I'd seen a government guest house near Kalangud Beach. So I went over to that government guest house, got friendly with the manager, and he told us a restaurant. So we went to a restaurant on the beach at night where a lot of hippies, a lot of druggies were there. But we had a lovely time. We didn't have a place to stay, and as suggested by that manager, we slept on the beach itself. And we were woken up by the waves which were lashing our feet sometime 4:30 in the morning. And as the waves came up, we moved up further on the beach with our motorcycle. So in the morning, we had a wash in this government rest house and went for a trip of Goa, old Goa. After seeing old Goa a little bit, we started going towards Panjim. We really didn't have any plans, but suddenly we saw two girls. Or, sorry, before that, when we were in Goa, one of Philip's friend, Atul, had given us an envelope, and on that it was written, if you go to Panjim, because there was no plan to come to Panjim, if you go to Panjim, my girlfriend Anna Paula Ataidi Lobo is there. I don't know her address. Go to the Congress president's house and ask his daughter for her address. So that was the connection which he wrote on the envelope and gave us a letter. We kept it in a rucksack as a lost case. But we saw two beautiful girls on the Panjim street. We stopped in front of them. We didn't know what to ask them. So we said, okay, which is the Congress president's house? They said, oh, that one, just in that side. So we said, okay, thank you very much. We drove a bike, went over there, didn't want to go to the Congress president's house, and turned around, and through another route, when we were coming back, we faced the girls again. This time we didn't stop. They stopped us. Oh, did you find the house? We said, no, we didn't find the house. So how can you miss that red house over there? We said, okay, thank you. Now we were in a fix. We had to enter the house because these girls were seeing us also. So we went to the house. We rang the bell, hoping like hell that someone would say that Dr. Frank Sequeira, the Congress president, is not at home. But when we went over there, a friendly-looking middle-aged gentleman came out, and we said, I'm Second Lieutenant Carr. He said, I'm Flying Officer George. He welcomed us he shook hands with us very warmly, and the shake of a person's hand, when you shake your hand with a person, you know as to what that person can be. The warmth you can feel right through the hands. So we went inside the house. He very proudly introduced us to his wife, and both of us looking like scavengers, having stayed in the beach the previous night. Introduced us to his wife, saying so-and-so is so-and-so. So his wife was also very happy. She said, at least she showed that she was happy, and said, would you like to have a wash? So we went to the washroom, both of us together. Huge white washroom. We saw ourselves and got scared. Anyway, washed, cleaned ourselves, combed our hair. And when we were coming out, we realized that we had left pug marks on the white tile floors. So we went back again, picked up some toilet paper, and started cleaning the pug marks as we came out of the bathroom. The moment we came out to the dining room, there's a huge table laid out with pastries. You could smell the coffee. It was fantastic, and we were so hungry that while George spoke, I ate. While I spoke, George ate. And we were talking everything about it. And quite often, the husband and wife were switching over to Portuguese because Portugal had gained its independence just about 10 years ago. I think December 61. Yeah, 10 years exactly. So these people are still talking in Portuguese. So they were saying sorry and apologizing and then talking to us in English again. And suddenly we realized there's someone standing behind us. We looked back, and they were the same two girls who we met on the street. Dr. Frank Sequeira introduced one of the girls as his daughter, and the other girl a friend of hers. Then we remembered about the letter. I went down to the mobike, took out the letter from the rucksack, brought it, and gave it to her. She opened the letter. That is the Congress president's daughter opened the letter, saw what is written inside, and rang up someone. And within no time, the beauty queen of Goa, Anna Paula Athaidi Lobo, was there. She hugged and kissed everyone. Of course, she didn't hug and kiss George and myself, and we were feeling quite bad. But she did shake hands with us. Soon, Roberto, that is Frank Sequeira's son, landed up, about our age or slightly older to us. And they said, come, let's go and show them Goa. So we went out on our bike and their car. They said, okay, let's go to Kalangut Beach. So we went to Kalangut Beach, another part of the beach, another restaurant, and we had a lovely time. At night when we were coming back, Roberto asked us, which hotel are you staying in? We said, we didn't get time to book a hotel. He said, don't worry, I'll put you in a hotel. So he put us in a hotel. Now we were worried this hotel we would have to pay a lot of money. But by next morning, the room boy told us that Mr. Roberto had come at his hotel, or his friend's hotel, I think. He said, your stay is gratis and to have a good breakfast. So we were very happy. So while having breakfast, while traveling, I had seen an MES inspection bungalow on a place called Altino. If you've been to Panjim, it's one of the poshest areas of Goa. Altino, where the governor's house and all is there. So I rang up a senior. He's the garrison engineer over there. I said, sir, I'm here on a trip. Can you accommodate me for a day? He said, well, I'm going to Bangalore, but you can come and stay in the MES inspection bungalow and Altino, and I'll tell the Khansama to look after you. Be my guest. We said, great. So from the hotel, we went to the MES inspection bungalow. Khansama looked after us, and we were also gifted with a bottle of Old Monk rum by the garrison engineer. He had left it for us. And then we said, okay, let's pay a return gift. I rang up Roberto and asked him to bring his friends over for a party at the inspection bungalow. They were very thrilled. We were in the number one room. The number one room is given to the generals and is the VIP room. So the Khansama brought us snacks, and the moment the bottle finished, they said, let's go out. So we went out again to some restaurant somewhere. We could get Old Monk rum, but that night all these people drank rum with us. We had a very nice time. That was Goa, and the greatest part of this trip was Goa with people who we did not know at all. Imagine going to a place today and asking for the Congress president's house and going over there. His son and daughter takes you out for a trip and you don't know them from Adam. Firstly, no one would take you out. Secondly, you won't be welcome in anyone's house. You probably won't be able to reach the door to ring the doorbell also. But this was Goa. Next morning, we took off from Goa. The road was good, but it was raining, and suddenly we got into a skid. The skid went on and on and on. We don't know how long it went on. Fortunately, there were no trucks in the road, and when the bike finally stopped, we realized we had some bruises on our back, but otherwise our limbs were okay. We had to make a decision whether to go back to Panjim or press on, but we didn't have any money. We said, let's press on to Bangalore. We stopped at a place called Hubli, went to a doctor, and felt like throwing up when this chap gave us a bill which is more than probably a dinner. Anyway, we paid him and pressed on to Bangalore. Bangalore, I had my friends and my old center, Madras Engineering Group and Center, and I had my friends over there also. So we had a very nice time in Bangalore, going to the club, going to one or two parties, traveling around Bangalore. And after 2 days, we borrowed some money and carried on to Hyderabad. Hyderabad was a place where George had a cousin of his, but we had some Air Force friends in Hyderabad also, in Secunderabad. So once we went to Hyderabad, we went around Charminar and the other places. His cousin looked after us, and we spent a night at the Secunderabad club and had some fantastic experience. If you read the book, you will read it, you'll hear about it. In fact, let me tell you, there were 3, 4 girls, and we were introduced to them by our Air Force friend in Secunderabad, and we were dancing. And suddenly, this friend of mine, after a dance, just called me aside and told me, "Hirak, you're dancing with the mother of the girls." That means 3 girls and a mother were there, and I was dancing with the mother, not realizing that she was the mother of the girls. Anyway, that was a lovely evening. We realized we were running short of time for leave, and our leave was finishing. So, oh, I think I'm short of time here also. So our leave was finishing, so we started driving up the East Coast. The first evening, our chain link snapped. That was the major breakdown we had, first major breakdown and only major breakdown. I stayed back with the bike, sitting on a culvert with a white helmet on my head, pouring outside, dark night, no lights. George went out in a truck to the next town to buy a link. By the time he came back, it was almost 12 o'clock. And Vivek, I don't have many pictures. Okay, I'll show you the pictures of
No,
Ladakh. I'll
no,
show you
I
the,
mean the picture. I mean the pictures which you have already sent. Maybe we can have some more
yeah,
so that.
I will show them when I say the Ladakh part of my trip. So
Okay, okay.
those are for the Ladakh part. Okay. And then George landed about 12 o'clock at night. We stayed the night in a barn with a cow next to us. And next morning, we started driving to Calcutta. This happened somewhere near Berhampur. Next morning, while we were driving to Calcutta, we stopped at a hotel, almost no money in our pocket. So we just ordered one odd roti and one coke to have. But then we got dal, and soon we realized that dal was free. Imagine in a country like India, if you buy roti, the dal is free. Have you ever heard of it? In Punjab side, people say, "Aao ji dal roti kha jao." Today, dal is so expensive, no one will give you dal roti. They won't give you roti also. Here in a dhawa, they were giving us dal for free. Imagine that is what India was. Believe me, people in India right through a trip was so good. Everyone, it was so good. Then driving up, we came near Kalaikonda, and there suddenly we saw something. I saw something. I was sitting behind. Suddenly, I saw something in the horizon against the moon, and before I could tell George, we had dived under a truck which was standing over there. So people pulled us out from the truck, from below the truck. We came out. We realized we were wet, but the hands and legs seemed okay. We thought we were bleeding. And then we got the smell of liquor. It was not the blood from a heart had come out, because the little bit of rum that we had saved in the bottle to drink at the Howrah Bridge, that bottle had broken. So we felt very hurt. But the truck driver around, they were actually loading hay on the truck from the roadside. and there was a ladder over there to avoid that ladder, and they didn't have a tail light, so to avoid that ladder, George hit the truck, below the truck. Anyway, from there, we headed on to Calcutta. When we entered Calcutta, you see, both George and myself had been in NDA and Sene school and things like that. We didn't really know Calcutta. We knew the Park Street, Southern Street, and other good places of Calcutta, hotels of Calcutta. But we didn't know that at night, the people with spears and swords standing on the road. So when we landed up at Howrah Bridge, the police caught us again, started talking to us in English, till I spoke to him in Bengali. And I asked him, what is this? He said, these people are guarding their territory or their area against the Naxalites. Those were Naxalite days. Hippies, Naxalites, and what else? So by 3 o'clock in the morning, we were in my house. I landed up in my house. A few small things. One is George's father asked me, Hirak, what is the most interesting thing that you learned on this trip? I said, the most interesting thing that I learned in this trip was that during this 35 days, not once did George and myself have a disagreement on anything, on what to eat, on what girl to run after, what to drink, what time to sleep, what time to take off. Not on anything did we have a disagreement. And this, I think, was the greatest trip of my life. Thank you for this part of it.
Yeah, it was very interesting. The narration will the narration will force us to buy the book now. We would like to know more, and we have Nirja also here who edited the book. So, Nirja, would you like to share your experience while you worked on the book?
I think Brigadier Carr had, written it so beautifully in the from the beginning. I didn't have to do much work on it, and each and every detail, each and every part, it was all so nicely mentioned. I think Brigadier Carr, you mentioned forgot about meeting Manoj Kumar on
Yeah.
at Juhu Beach.
Blue Beach, yes. We went on a swim, we came back, and suddenly Manoj Kumar was there. George said, listen, everyone is crowding around him. He must be a famous chap. I said, he's a film actor, Manoj Kumar. When I spoke to him, then he invited us, but we couldn't go anywhere. We had better friends to go around with.
And it was it's after the book was published, of course, going over the journey, the whole trip, and how happy it made them. There were such happy memories. I think that was what I got from the book. Everywhere they went, they were, people were very friendly. People helped them out. I think maybe it was because it was 1971. I would have obviously, and being from the services, so I could understand a lot of, the life whenever they went to an army base or an air force station. So there was that part was very interesting, of course. And then the Goa trip, the Hyderabad trip, the Bombay trip. I think every part of it was amazing. I just loved going through the book, editing it, and what really amazed me was that Brigadier Carr remembered each and every moment. I mean, it was after how many years did you write this from?
There's a catch. We didn't have a camera, but I had a diary.
Yes.
I was writing down in the diary, and 46 years later, that is somewhere around 2017 or so, 18, I think I gave the book to you. 2017, It was raining very heavily in Calcutta. I couldn't go out. I took out the diary. In the diary, I was opening my box. I found the diary. I started reading it. Started enjoying reading it, and then I started writing. And that's how the book came about.
And a lot of motorcyclists who are actually, keen bikers actually have read, they've read this book and they've really enjoyed it. I've heard firsthand from a lot of readers. So that was very satisfying and very nice to know. Brigadier Kaur, why don't you tell us something about your world record when you went sailing?
Okay.
Ladakh. I think that you have photographs of also.
I think we got about 10 minutes or so.
Yes.
Okay. I was a colonel commanding an engineer regiment in Leh. I had one company in the Siachen Glacier, one company in Kargil, and my headquarters was in Leh. This was in 92, 91, 92. So every 2 weeks or so, I used to travel to the Siachen Glacier or to Kargil. That was my routine. And at that time, when I went to the now famous Pengangso Lake, I decided to sail a yacht on the Pengangso Lake. So I took my GOC's permission, a friendly person, General Dillon, and went to Delhi. My last posting was Delhi, and I would be sailing there in the sailing club. So I got permission to take a boat on loan, a wooden Enterprise class boat on loan to Leh. So I went to the club. I didn't take a wooden. I took an expensive, good fiberglass boat. Took it to the airport, loaded in an Air Force aircraft, flew with it to Chandigarh. Next day, flew with it to Leh, and I was in Leh and sent a thank you. And my GOC sent a thank you letter to Engineering Chief's branch for the boat. So I was organizing a sailing treat for everyone on the Trishul Lake. Trishul is the name of the formation over there. And after about the breeze was very strong. After about half an hour or so, the sail was ripped apart by the breeze. My morale was down because my plan was to go and sail in the Pengangso.
Brigadier Kaur, 1 minute. I'm just sorry to interject. You have photographs of your yachting trip.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Can we see those?
Show the photographs, yeah, please. Thank you. Can you show the photographs? Yeah. No. It's, I think, fifth or sixth photograph. No. Further on. Yeah. She's the Queen of Ladakh. That's me with the Queen of Ladakh. And she said she's a Nokrani, not a queen. Yeah. Next. This is So Murari. I'll talk about it a little later. Let the photograph remain over here. I'll talk about it a little later. Right? Let the photograph remain. Then, while this was happening, I got on my unit tailor, got a cotton parachute, and made him to cut out a sail. I did the designing, and he stitched a sail for me for the boat. At that time, I came to know that there's another lake 500 feet higher than Pengangso, that is the So Murari. So stands for lake, Siachen stands for rose garden, and Leh means the oasis. Siachen is the rose garden, so you should go to the rose garden. So then I decided to go to So Murari. I took a trip to recce the lake, whether it's possible to sail there or not. There were no roads, but it was a beautiful drive. And towards So Murari, there were no roads, the tracks. On the side of the tracks, the marmots were sitting. It was summer. Marmots are animals like monkeys. They hibernate for 6 months and become very thin. Then they come out, eat for 6 months, and become fat again. And then I saw a herd of horses. When I saw the herd of horses, I chased the horses, and there were hundreds of horses over there. Later on, I came to know that these horses can't take any load. Therefore, they are not used by villagers. The they just live, they're left astray over there. I chased them like the Wild West, horses to my right, horses to my left, drove for a couple of kilometers, and then I was not sure whether I would be crossing the boundary into China, so I turned around and came back. And then went to this place. The photograph that that you see in front of you, is the bank of the Somurari, level ground, and you see a village in the distance. That is the Karzok village. It seems a tooth of Buddha is kept in that village. Well, I couldn't see that, but I went to that village and I recce'd the lake area, which I found was okay for sailing. So next day, so I sent a radio message to my unit. There's a log hut over there. I said, okay, 2 young couples can come and stay here and get the boat over. So the other officers, they came with a boat. Next day they were driving. And while next day they were driving, I walked up these mountains onto the snow line where snow leopards are supposed to be there. Unfortunately, I couldn't see any snow leopards. I went to the village. Can you show 1 or 2 more photographs, please? And this is the lake. When I got the boat, we put it on this lake. Yeah, next, please. That's General Dillon, and in front is Jaswali, who was my second in command. At the helm is yours truly. Yeah, next. That's me with a yak in that area. This is the doubled hump camel. This photograph is actually not from this area. This is from the Nubra Valley. This double hump camel you'll find in the Xi'an province of China also. It was left on the Silk Route because some of them were sick. And today they are a tourist attraction in Leh. Yeah, next. No, we'll wait for this one for later. Please, can you take this photograph off? No, this one also. Okay. Okay, you can keep this photograph. Right. So we sailed on the Somurari, and it was really breathtaking. For 3 months a year, the lake has water. The rest of the time, the lake is frozen. And when it's frozen, you can actually drive a car in the lake or on the lake surface. So that was a trip at 15,500 feet. Now, it was a world record, and we could only publish it in the Limca Book of Records. It's published, I think, in 93. Limca Book of Record is published as a world record. Following year, I was showing this cassette to a British gentleman in Delhi, and he said, Colonel, you know, there is a lake which is higher than this. It is the Guru Dangmar Lake in North Sikkim, 17,500 feet. If you don't go there now, we can't go because civilians are not allowed to that place. If you don't go there now, a couple of years later, you'll find some Australian or American or British or French who will go and claim a world record. So you must go there. By then I was posted to the Army War College in Mao, and I organized a trip or a sailing trip to Guru Dangmar Lake. This is Guru Dangmar Lake that you see in front of you. This is the spot where water does not freeze even in peak of winters. It seems Guru Nanak came over there and put a staff into the water, and an area about 2 feet or 2 feet or so is water throughout the year. So everything organized. I had called the Doordarshan, organized a team to come over there, someone from my school. And then someone told me, he says, you go to Sikkim House in Delhi and go and inform them. So I went to Sikkim House and informing the officer in charge. He was very happy. He said, sir, I want to be in your team also. I said, fine. He said, okay, let me tell my boss in Sikkim. But the moment he rang up, he got a firing from his boss, and I was overhearing. He said, don't you know, we don't permit anyone to sail to boat or fish in our lakes. Our lakes are holy lakes. His face became small, my face became smaller, and all the trip that we had planned to Guru Dagmar Lake was over. Today, I think civilians are also permitted to go to North Sikkim. If you happen to go there, please go to this spot, the Guru Dagmar Lake, and remember me. I won't try to sail over here. So that was about the Guru Dagmar Lake. And for my world travels, one more, please. This is the Dead Sea at Jordan. This is one of my trips. It's an official trip when I went to Israel and things like that. This is the Dead Sea at Jordan. Thank you. Any questions? Anything anyone would like to say or want me to repeat or speak about?
Any special reason for titling the book as Pillion Rider?
Pardon? I say again.
What was the logic or the reasoning used for giving the title Pillion Rider to the book that you wrote?
Uh, I really don't know. Uh, I don't remember right now, but probably one of the reasons probably is that uh, George is a very good driver, a very good motorcycle driver, and I started off as a pillion rider because I was not a driver. Possibly that is what made me give the name the Pillion Rider.
Okay. But you took a long time to write. Like the trip was in 1971, and the book came out in 2018. So why such a long gap?
Okay. 1971, we finished the trip in September, and a few days later, our leave was over, went back to the unit. When I went to my unit, the unit was already under mobilization, and we moved for the 71 war in December. We moved in October, in fact, to the border area. After that, the war, in the 2 months, I forgot everything about this trip. See, years passed, never thought of writing a book really. If I thought of writing a book, I would have probably taken photographs and been more elaborate about it. More so because a lot of things are about persons, some of them who are still alive. And I couldn't, I've changed the number of names in the books, and there are a lot of things I could not really publish in the book. So therefore, you know, I had to modify it in such a way, writing someone else's name, keeping some facts hidden for others to understand what could have happened, and so on and so forth. Then marriage, service, and things like that, one loses track of time.
Oh, uh, Divya, you have a question? Any question? I
Yeah,
think
Brigadier Kar, you said you've traveled to 55 countries.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, was that after your retirement, or you've been traveling all your life?
I I started off in 1986. Was my first trip to Singapore, Bangkok, and Kuala Lumpur. That was my first trip abroad. 1988, I traveled all over Europe. And then every year or every second year, I've been traveling. Like last few years after my retirement, this year I went to South America. Last year I went to Greece and Portugal and Spain. Year before that, I went to Croatia. So over the years, I have been, I don't spend money much in other things, but I like to travel, and that is where I spend my money. Most of the trips are alone. Some countries I took my wife, like Egypt, Israel, Poland. These countries I took my wife, and I have gone with some trips also. Like I went on a Scandinavian cruise, but then after that I took off on my own for Scandinavia. But these group tours I found I'm not very okay with them. In fact, since you asked me this question, a lot of you would be like to travel abroad. I don't know with COVID what will happen now. But when you travel in a group, if you're aged and if you're not so confident, it is good. But if you want to really see places, the tour bus will take you at about 8:39 in the morning, tour around, bring you to the city at about 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:30. Then they'll give you dinner, then drive you off to a hotel about 20, 15, 20 kilometers away. By the time you reach the hotel and settle down, it's 8:39 at night. Then you can't come back to the town, and so the evening after that is night is wasted. So I would much rather prefer to travel on my own and stay in a small shack in the city itself and see the city by night also, rather than staying in a hotel 15, 20 kilometers away, a good toilet, good bed, and things like that, very comfortable. But what do I get out of it? I can get a better stuff staying at home, sitting at home. Like last year, my son and myself, we went to Greece. We rented a car, and the two of us traveled all over Greece with, and for I think 10 days, we had covered a lot of mileage.
Deepti, do you have a question?
No, thanks. I'm all right.
Okay.
And Divya Munjal, I think she did some research on the book because there was a message in the chat box. Uh, Interesting story and excellent presentation. 200 rupees. Divya Munjal, are you mentioning about the book?
No, I'm mentioning about the money he had in his pocket, and still he managed to travel across India. It seemed to me like that around the world in $8. So about Mr. Kaur was able to travel throughout India in just 200 rupees, and such an interesting story. I'm really mesmerized with the presentation.
Uh,
So
the only thing was we started off with 200 because that is all that we had, and we wanted to go just to Delhi and come back. Petrol 1 rupee 40 paise a liter. But when we started moving around and we started going, we started borrowing money. We didn't do in $8. We didn't do the trip. 200 rupees. We didn't do the trip. We borrowed money en route as we went. 100, 200 rupees from friends, and we kept going.
yes, I understand. The same happened in that movie also. They kept gathering money and they were traveling throughout the world. But getting the real time view from a person who has actually experienced that is really awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, the presentation was great. It was interesting, and it makes us buy the book. And I think there are a couple of factors. Maybe one is the best journeys are the ones that are unplanned, and maybe when you are young, and plus you have a partner like he had. So when all these things come together, the outcome is certainly going to be memorable.
Nivedika, where are you going next after the coronavirus?
I don't know. I want to travel. I want to travel. I have a lot of things, a lot of places in mind. Like this year, uh, 2000, 2020, April, May, I was to go to Mongolia. Uh, Mongolia, I'm a consultant in an audit firm. So to do ISO audit, I was to go to Mongolia in April, May this year. That let's see next year what happens, because going abroad is not very okay right now. Another year or two, but then another year or two will take toll on my age also. Whether I'll be able to travel at that time or not, I do not know.
I'm sure you'll be able to do that. Nobody can, what do you say? You say this in your book. You're a journey waiting to happen. and you're referred to as a person with wheels below his feet
That's
to
what
his relatives.
that's what all my friends and my family members talk about when they say you got wheels below your feet, you want to travel. Every now and then I'm traveling here and there.
No,
In
but
fact,
hats off at not that age. Really, it's all in a state of mind. But not many people do that. And then a lot of people have those problems that how will we spend money, and I think it can be done with very less money. Also, the kind of if you do your research well enough and you know what to do, where to go, it's not that expensive to travel.
exactly. No, there's another thing. I've been traveling all over India. Uh, I'm waiting work. I work for an organization where I do audit the occupational health and safety. I've been traveling the whole of Assam. I've done about 150 tea gardens in Assam, South India, and North Bengal. There are fantastic places which 99.9, if I ask now, none of you would have seen the pyramids in India. The Egyptian pyramids you will see in India, where people, live people, have been buried along with the king. That is in a place called Shiv Sagar in Assam, Shiv Sagar district. It's called the Madam. It's not called pyramid, it's called the Madam. Huge round domes where the Ahom king, the first Ahom king who had come from somewhere from China, he was the first Ahom king. And when he died, his wives, his servants, and everyone were buried with him. Subsequently, over the next 3 or 4, 500 years, the Ahom kings they stopped that practice of burying live people. But yes, these madams are there. Most, I think 99.9% of people in our country would have seen those madams.
Yeah, we haven't even heard of them. So yeah.
Then if you go to North Gujarat, I go for audit of castor fields, castor from where you make castor oil. North Gujarat, there's a step well. Step well is, the well goes downwards into steps and goes deep down. The carvings on the sides are so nice. I think it's the most beautiful set of carvings. I mean, I won't say the most, but by far the most beautiful set of carvings, which are around a well. And as you go downwards, it's a great engineering. I'm an engineer, so I see it from the engineering side also, architectural side. It's a beautiful architectural feat and engineering feat, the stepwells. So like that, there's so many things in our country that we keep. As I go around, I keep on seeing. So you got to combine a little pleasure with your work also. All of you travel from place to place, do a 1 day trip and fly back. You're always chasing to come back. Spend one more day over there, see that place, and come back. You go to a place, you take a cycle rickshaw and go around. You go to a place like Madurai. I've been to Madurai, took a cycle rickshaw and went around Madurai seeing the temples. I ride a cycle when I go to any place. Even now, I ride a cycle. When I go to a place, small place like Hoi An in Vietnam or some place in North Thailand, some place, I rent a cycle and go around in a cycle, take my time and go around. So when you, it's a suggestion or advice, whatever you say, when you travel for work, take a little time off to see the place around. You'll see a lot of places, you'll see a lot of things. I wonder how many of you seen the Statue of Dignity as yet? Vallabhbhai Patel's statue, which is there in Vadodara. But you would like to go and see the Statue of Liberty. But this also you should see. I raise my hands up, I've seen it. So again on my trip.
Yeah, I do agree. We have such a nice selection of places in India itself. Like which we can explore. And I would just want to ask whether there is any plan to recreate the motorcycle trip, like
Uh,
do it again.
no, it probably won't be a motorcycle trip anymore because now I've crossed 70. So motorcycle trip will not be very comfortable for me physically and medically. But well, if I get good partners, I may take off on trips in India and abroad. Let's wait for the COVID to ease off.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about George. Like, is he around? Are you
Yeah,
in
he's in
touch with him?
Bangalore. I couldn't contact him. He's in Bangalore. Uh, he's relocated in Bangalore. He was in Calcutta. He relocated in Bangalore.
So thanks a lot, Brigadier Hirak. It was a great session. And before we end, I would like to tell you about the next session that we will have in the ICF travel series. So we will have Mr. Jono Linin from Australia. He has spent a lot of years in the Himalayas and he has written a book, Into the Heart of the Himalayas. And he is the curator of National Museum of Australia. So I actually there was a news report about him in the newspaper. Like he had given some presentation to a literary festival that was happening, and we then got in touch with him on Twitter. He agreed to come and talk to us about the books that he has written. He has written quite a few books, and I hope it will be a great session because considering the amount of time he has spent in the Himalayas and his personal connection with this particular aspect of life. And tomorrow we will have our usual editorial webinar, which will be the 25th consecutive session. And Mr. Yatin Joshi will be conducting that webinar to let us know how to handle lists in a consistent way, how to take care of capitalization, punctuation, parallel structure, and so many other things that are involved. So even though it's a small part of editing, but it's a very vital part because they keep on coming in our text. So see you all tomorrow at 11.
Vivek, may I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, yeah.
Last time you spoke about a group and about a lady, a doctor somewhere in Pune, somewhere in Maharashtra.
Yeah, yeah. We actually had to reschedule that session because that's
What's her name? What's that lady's name?
Dr. Nilima Desai.
Yeah, I think I met her somewhere in Dubai or Hong Kong, somewhere in the airport. She's one who went with an expedition to Mount Kilimanjaro.
Okay. So
And
that I will.
running from there, and I met her. I think she's the same lady.
Okay, so I will check with her and find out. But we had to reschedule her session, which was scheduled for 14th of November because that's Diwali, and she said it will be difficult, and our participants also said that it will be difficult. So maybe we will take a break that day, or I don't know, we might do a Facebook live session or play a recording of a previous session, but we will keep things going. Like I really
She's a
wouldn't
traveler.
like.
Is she a traveler? Has she been
She's yeah,
traveling?
she is a doctor and like she does cycling trips and she goes on high altitude treks.
She will be the
So
same lady. She made a trip to Mount Kilimanjaro.
yeah,
She's running from there when I met her.
she runs a organization by the name of Nav Kshitij, and she works with people like special children who have some problems. So she takes them on those high altitude treks, which is like the first organization in the world that's doing this kind of work. So we will have that session later on. We are like communicating with a lot of other people, and everyone is welcome to suggest. And I thank Nirija that she introduced us to you, and we had a wonderful time listening to your story. And later we will read the book also. So tomorrow I am expecting a lot of you to be there because it's the 25th session, and then next week for Jono's session.
Vivek, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
Jasminder. Yeah.
I just wanted to say big thank you to Brigadier Carr. And Brigadier Carr, my father's also a sapper.
May I know his name, please?
He's Colonel Man.
Colonel?
Man.
Colonel Mann.
He's much before your time, I think. And so my dad also has wheels under his feet. And we would barely get, every posting we would just barely put our bags down and he would cart us off to see all the areas around, the towns around and places around. We, of course, would go very grudgingly, but thanks to that, we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves and saw so much and things like that. So your talk really brought back all those memories. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jasminder, I think, are you in Goa? Just wanted to confirm.
No, I'm in Bangalore.
Okay, okay.
You need some contacts in Goa?
No, because Goa was part of his trip, so that's why I asked.
Oh, we
Kora
live
is
in
from
Goa.
Goa, I think.
Bangalore was also part of the trip.
Yes, yes.
But most of the stories he told were like related to Goa. And we actually had Kora Bhatia present, but now she's left.
Yeah.
She is based in Goa.
Right.
And can we have some comment from Mr. Dev Anand Paul, because I think maybe he's related to Brigadier Hirak.
He is muted.
Mr. Devanand Paul, you are muted. You will have to unmute yourself.
Hello, Vivek, that's my husband. This is Bharti. Hello,
Hello, yeah.
Vivek, that is my husband. This is Bharti. Devanand Paul is my husband. He was very interested to listen to Brigadier's speech today because he loves traveling.
Okay.
And, so, yeah,
can you repeat your name? I didn't get your name.
Bharati, Anna Bharati Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Vivek, about that.
No, it's fine. I actually wanted him to come, and like most of the people, their videos are off, so it's difficult to make out.
Yeah, because my mobile was not functioning properly, so I asked him to connect directly from his.
Okay. So it was fine that both of you were here.
Yeah, his talk was really great. It was as if we went along with him, such a great trip that was for him.
Okay, thanks Anna Bharti
Yeah,
Paul.
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And thanks everyone once again, and a special thanks to Neerija and to Brigadier Hirak Kar and to Murugraj for handling the logistics and always making sure that we conduct these sessions seamlessly. Good evening and have a nice day. See you
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Vivek. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brigadier Kar.
Thank you. Thank you, Nija.